Do you remember back in the day there was a movie called CB1 with Chris Rock in it, and it was about a bunch of middle-class kids in Locash in LA who were kind of like a stylistics type pop band, R&B band, and in order to make it they become an NWA type gangster rap band, hip hop, and it was very funny and very clever film in it, and one scene I always remember in it was they had this guy playing, I think it was your man Hartman who used to play Lionel Hutz on The Simpsons, the guy who was murdered by his girlfriend, his borderline girlfriend. Borderline women will be a big topic on my other channel in the years to come. And he said this thing: they blasphemed against the American dream by taking the sacred symbol of our national sport, the baseball cap, and satanically inverting it. And I remember when that came out, I was laughing my head off. Now, what has that got to do with the pentagram? When the pentagram is upright, it's white magic, it's Wicca, it's, it's good, happy magic. When it's inverted, it's Crowley Satanism. That's not true at all. Not at all. Now, you know the way certain gods and goddesses and archetypes will have a period of a power force, and then that will go into waxing and waning, just like the moon, and come back again. Like you'd have, like at the moment, the goddess Athena, the god Apollo is coming into power force, Lucifer is strongly in power force, which ties into the pentagram, and the Morrigan is very powerful at the moment. Now, the Kali was powerful but moving out, and the same applies to magical symbols. Some magical symbols have their heyday and within the conscious mind and in the magical landscape of people and the world, and then they go into kind of like a dormancy for a while, or they lose their power. And we had, you had like this, it's very, you had a swastika was very powerful in the early part of the 20th century, and in the latter part of the 20th century the 5-pointed star, or the pentagram, was very powerful, but it has now receded back into a lesser state, so we say, from not dormant but hibernation, semi-hibernation, in terms of its effect upon the consciousness. And the hexagram is incredibly powerful at the moment, what they call the Star of David. For the first time since it was big it really took off back in the late 1800s. Now in the Palest settlement within what's now Russia and Belarus, and then became a power force of what we have today, the State of Israel, Zionism, Judaism, and growth in the Kabbalah. And that's not good, not bad, it's just what it is. It's how you respond to it, just like the Lovecraft video. How you respond is the key, not, you can, like the one's going, the inverted pentagram is evil. You've automatically made yourself a slave. The swastika is the symbol of the Nazis. Ooh, I'm afraid. You've made yourself a slave to that icon. The Star of David is a sign of, oppression of Palestinians. You've made yourself a slave. What you have is a neutral viewpoint to it. It's your reaction. If that's what Lovecraft has taught us anything, it's your reaction that's key, and not the actual thing itself. Now, the pentagram, well, it's very powerful. It's the reason why it's associated with Lucifer is because Lucifer is the classical pagan god, and the planet Venus, the sun, the morning and the evening star, and the dance that the two planets make together around the sun, it creates a 5-pointed star. It's just incredible when you think about it, and it's not the only example of a planet that does that with the Earth. This is one of the things with reductionist science. It's a problem. The more mysteries they discover and more amazing things they discover about the universe, they think it's proof that there's no magical underpinning to this experience. When in reality, it should be, to a reductionist mind. It's proof that there is, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have the God of the Bible and up in the stars making it all happen. We have other options like we make it happen, or the morphic resonance of, say, Rupert Sheldrake makes it happen, or it just happens, and we'll never know. But that's okay. What we do is we react how we react to it. And so the 5-pointed star, associated with Baphomet, of course. Now, Baphomet's a weird one. Baphomet seems to be a relatively new idea. It was brought into manifestation with the torture and the execution of the Knights Templars by the French royal elite and the Vatican, and they said that they worshipped Baphomet, but they said Baphomet was everything from a dog to a head, like in the Picatrix, in a jar of vinegar, and so on. Baphomet didn't really, Ephraim Levi really brought him into focus. What Baphomet really is a sort of an amalgamation of the horned god of European paganism, brought into a sort of a more magicalized form, so it would sit better within things like Kabbalism. So Baphomet can be seen as an interface between traditional European paganism and the Kabbalistic-inspired European pagan. Now, so you go, Kabbalism is just Judaism. It's not that easy. Kabbalism really was fermented within the boiling cauldron of the heartland of Russia and Belarus, and down into Georgia, and it's more or less the same place that the Indo-European magical archetypes came from. So you can't be just like this, remember, these all predate the Abrahamic religion. So there's a lot of things we like in the way Irish mythology is a big huge lie. There's a lot of things we've been bullshitted about now, and Nordic mythology, and so you have to be careful with all this stuff. But you have a validation in terms of, well, you have they cut the apple open and there's the star, there's the pentagram inside there. This is why it's on US military vehicles, why it's on Russian, Soviet, Chinese, everywhere. They all use the symbol of the 5-pointed star because of its power force as a turbocharger of the consciousness, both in terms of delivering a message to the psyche by creating a direct route, and also because of our relationship to the cosmic forces, as above, so below, the morning star, the evening star, and the apple of Eve. That's true. There's a lot of people talk about see, the thing is that Abraham, even right back to their earliest day, had to steal paganism in order to take over paganism. And it just goes to show you how just like St. Patrick in Ireland took the triple spiral, say, that you have on Newgrange and all through the ancient, right back to the proto-shamanic world of the pre-Celtic people, and turned it into a shamrock representing the Trinity. Well, the Abrahamics did the same thing with the 5-pointed star, knowing about the relationship with the planet Venus, knowing about the apple, probably knowing also about the Luciferian aspects of it, and converted it into a representation of the devil. It's just in much the same way that the swastika, one of the most sacred and holy symbols of all time, is being taken by SJWs and commies and turned into an evil symbol. When it's one of the most beautiful symbols also of our history as a people, of the Indo-Europeans and beyond. Now, the reason why Wiccans are obsessed with this stuff is because it looks like a witch's hat. It's witchy poo. Remember that? Wiccans are all about witchy poo, looking like this is why you go to these Wiccan groups and you'll see more pictures of Stevie Nicks with a pointy hat, or the girls from Charmed. And who's the best TV witch, and you have the girls with Buffy. This is like what you're dealing with, and so it looks like a pointed hat, witchy poo, and that's what Wicca is all about. And they think it's used in heavy metal, Slayer. I mean, not going to have metal bands that use it. And it's not because it's black magic, it's not because it's white magic, it's because it's an archetypal power force that directly connects us to the cosmic forces and to that of the subconscious mind, which you invoke and you take into yourself. Upside or downside, it does not matter, the geometry remains integrated and intact. Use it, or it will use you. Ave Lucifer, and long live the horned gods.